It was a Tuesday morning in March, the kind of day that starts ordinary and ends with everything changed. I'd been going to the same coffee shop for 3 years, every Tuesday, 7:30, black coffee, no sugar, my usual corner table by the window. That morning, someone else was sitting there. I took a seat at the counter instead, facing the room. The espresso machine hissed. Light jazz played overhead. I opened my newspaper and started the crossword. Then I looked up. At my corner table sat my son, Michael. I'd know him anywhere. 48 years old, and I could still see the boy who used to do homework at our kitchen table. He wasn't alone. A man in a suit sat across from him, briefcase open, documents spread between them, a lawyer. I knew it before I could explain why. My chest tightened. Michael hadn't mentioned meeting anyone. We'd talked Sunday, just 3 days ago. Dinner at my house, like always. He'd seemed distracted, but I'd thought it was stress. The divorce, his job loss. I should have looked away, gone back to my crossword. But something kept me watching. The lawyer pushed a document across the table. Michael picked it up, read it, then pulled out a pen. The paper was angled toward the window, toward me. I saw my name, right there, on legal letterhead, official formatting I recognized from 3 years ago when I'd set up my estate plan. My heart started pounding. Michael said something. The lawyer nodded. Michael turned the document slightly, and I saw the signature line at the bottom. My signature, Margaret Anne Thompson. Every loop, every curve, the way the M started high, the flourish on the T my mother taught me when I was 7. But I hadn't signed that document. I'd never seen it before in my life. The coffee cup slipped in my hand. Hot liquid spilled onto the counter. The barista came over with a towel, saying something I couldn't hear. I stared at that signature. I knew every detail of it. 68 years of signing my name. I knew how it looked. This one was almost perfect. Almost. The M started too carefully. The T flourish was too exact, like someone had practiced, over and over, until they got it right. Cold ran through me, straight through to my bones. Michael and the lawyer stood, shook hands. The lawyer packed his briefcase. I stood up, left money on the counter, more than enough, picked up my newspaper. The barista called after me. I kept walking. I couldn't let Michael see me. If he saw me, he'd have to explain. He'd have some smooth answer ready. That sales voice he'd perfected in his career. I needed to know what I was dealing with first. I pushed through the door. March air hit my face. The parking lot looked exactly as it had 20 minutes ago. But everything was different. I got in my car, locked the doors, sat with my hands on the steering wheel. Michael, at 10 years old, trying to copy my signature on a permission slip when I'd been too sick to sign it. I'd caught him, laughed, showed him how I wrote my M, the careful loops, the flourish. I'd taught him how to forge my signature. I pulled out my phone. Michael's number right there. I could call, demand answers. But I didn't. If he knew I'd seen him, he'd have time to prepare, to hide things, to make it all sound reasonable. In my rearview mirror, I could see them leaving the coffee shop, Michael and the lawyer, walking to separate cars. I sat there, hands shaking, my son, my only child, the boy I'd raised alone after his father left, the boy I'd given everything to, had just forged my signature. I started the car and drove home. My Tuesday morning routine shattered, my safe coffee shop violated, and somewhere in the back of my mind, a single thought kept repeating. If he forged one document, what else has he done? I walked out before they saw me, but I knew what I had to do. That night, I pulled out my estate planning folder, the papers Richard gave me 3 years ago. I needed to know what Michael was trying to change. I spread everything across my kitchen table. Will, trust documents, healthcare power of attorney, the limited one I'd given Michael after my husband David died, just for emergencies, just in case something happened and I couldn't make medical decisions for myself. Every signature was mine, real, authentic. I could see the difference now that I knew what to look for. But if Michael had one forged document, there had to be more. I looked around my kitchen. This house, I'd bought it in 1985, 38 years ago, Ranch style, 3 bedrooms, quarter-acre lot in a quiet suburban neighborhood. I'd raised Michael here, alone. His father left when Michael was 10. The divorce was quick, clean. His father moved to Arizona, remarried, started a new family, sent child support checks for 8 years, then stopped returning phone calls. So it was just us, Michael and me. I worked double shifts at the high school where I taught English, summer school every year, tutoring on weekends. Every dollar went to Michael's future. $85,000 for college, 4 years at State, business degree. I worked extra shifts for 4 years straight. Took on summer school courses I didn't want to teach, skipped vacations, drove the same car for 12 years, $40,000 for the down payment on his first house. When he was 28, married to Jennifer, expecting Sarah. I liquidated half my retirement account, paid the penalty, told him it was a gift, not a loan. $25,000 when he started his medical device sales business, co-signed the startup loan, put my house up as collateral. He promised he'd pay me back, he never did. The business eventually folded. $15,000 for his wedding to Jennifer. The reception at the country club, the honeymoon in Maui. Her family contributed $10,000. I covered the rest. Used money I'd been saving since he was 12. $165,000 over 38 years. I'd kept track, not to hold it over him, just to know, to understand what I'd sacrificed. I thought I was building his future, teaching him that family takes care of family, that you sacrifice for the people you love. Maybe I taught him the wrong lesson. Maybe he learned that my money was his money, that boundaries didn't apply when you love someone. I stood up from the table, walked to the mantel in the living room, photos everywhere, Michael's school pictures year by year, his high school graduation, college graduation. That one still made me proud. His wedding, Sarah and Jake as babies, the grandchildren I loved more than anything. And there was the photo of David and me on our wedding day. 1976. I was 22. David was 24. We'd thought we had forever. He died 5 years ago. Heart attack. Sudden. He'd been gone from Michael's life for decades, but losing him still hurt. That's when I'd set up the estate plan, made sure everything was organized, made sure Michael would inherit without complications. That's when I'd given him the healthcare power of attorney, limited, emergency only. I'd trusted him. My neighbor Diane had warned me, not about this specifically, but she'd been through something similar. Her sister's nephew had forged checks, drained her sister's savings. Family, she'd said. It's always family who can hurt you the most because you never see it coming. I thought she was being paranoid. Michael's divorce had been expensive. 18 months ago. He'd lost the house in the settlement. Child support was $1,800 a month, more than his current rent. When the pandemic hit, he'd lost his sales job. He'd bought an investment property before the market crashed. Now it was underwater, worth less than he owed. I knew he was struggling. He'd mentioned it, casually, over Sunday dinners, never asked for help directly. But I'd seen the stress in his face, the way he'd check his phone constantly, the way he'd ask questions about my finances. 6 months ago, he'd asked detailed questions about my estate planning, how the trust worked, what happened if I became incapacitated, who controlled what. I thought he was being responsible, preparing, making sure he understood. Now I understood. He'd been planning. That Tuesday evening, my phone buzzed, a text from Michael. "Hi, Mom. How was your day?" I stared at the message. Casual. Normal. Like he hadn't been sitting in a coffee shop that morning with a lawyer and a forged document. I typed back. "Fine. Garden club tomorrow. How are Sarah and Jake?" "Good. Sarah has a volleyball game Friday. Can you come?" "I'll be there." 3 dots appeared. Disappeared. Appeared again. "You feeling okay? You seem tired lately." My hands tightened on the phone. There it was. The setup. Building the narrative that I was declining, forgetting things, not capable of managing my own life. "I'm fine," I typed. "Just busy." "Okay. Love you." "Love you too." I put the phone down. Those words felt like lies now, both of us saying we loved each other while he plotted and I investigated. Thursday night was book club at Diane's house. I almost didn't go, but staying home meant sitting with my thoughts, sitting with the documents spread across my kitchen table, sitting with the fear that my own son was trying to steal everything I'd worked for. Diane noticed immediately. She always did. 65, widow for 2 years, my neighbor 3 houses down. She'd been through her own nightmare with her sister. She knew the signs. "Margaret," she said, pulling me aside in her kitchen while the others discussed the mystery novel we were supposed to have read. "What's wrong?" "Nothing, I'm fine." "You're not fine. I know that look. I had that look when Amy's nephew—" She stopped, studied my face. "Is it Michael?" I looked away. "I can't talk about it." "You can, and you should." She lowered her voice. "Whatever it is, don't ignore it. Don't make excuses. That's how they get away with it." "He's my son." "I know. Amy's nephew was her favorite. She'd raised him like her own son after his mother died, and he stole $120,000 from her before she finally pressed charges." Diane squeezed my hand. "I'm not saying Michael is doing that, but if something feels wrong, trust that feeling." I drove home that night thinking about trust, about how I'd trusted Michael his entire life, how I'd believed that all those sacrifices would mean something. That family loyalty went both ways. My phone rang as I pulled into my driveway. Michael. "Hey, Mom, just checking in. You get home safe from book club?" I just pulled in. "Good. Listen, I've been thinking. You're managing a lot. The house, the finances, everything. If you ever need help—" "I don't need help, Michael. I'm 70 years old, not 90. I manage just fine." Silence. Then, "Okay, I'm just saying, if you ever do." After we hung up, I sat in my driveway. Engine off, porch light on. This house I'd paid off through decades of work. This life I'd built. And I thought about that document in the coffee shop. My forged signature. Michael's careful planning. He wasn't trying to help me. He was trying to take everything. I got out of the car, unlocked my front door. The house was quiet, empty, just me and the ticking clock in the hallway. I'd spent 38 years protecting Michael, making sure he had everything he needed. Now I had to figure out how to protect myself from him. I couldn't sleep that night. 2 a.m, I was still awake, staring at the ceiling, thinking about that signature, about Michael's text messages, about 38 years of trust dissolving in a coffee shop on a Tuesday morning. I got up, went to my home office, turned on the desk lamp. My original estate documents were still spread across the desk where I'd left them. Will. Trust. Healthcare power of attorney. I picked up the power of attorney. Read it again. Carefully this time. Limited authority. Emergency medical decisions only. If I was unconscious, if I couldn't communicate, Michael could make choices about my medical care. Nothing about finances, nothing about property, nothing about legal decisions. So why was he meeting with a lawyer about trust documents? I opened my laptop, typed power of attorney fraud into the search bar. The results made my stomach turn. Story after story, adult children forging documents, taking control of parents' assets, draining bank accounts, selling houses without permission. It happened all the time. I closed the laptop. My hands were shaking. Then I remembered. Michael's old iPad, the one he'd given me 2 years ago when he upgraded, said I could use it for recipes, for video calls with Sarah and Jake. I'd never used it much. It was in the desk drawer. I pulled it out, powered it on. The screen lit up. He'd never wiped it. All his apps were still there. His email still logged in. I opened his email. I shouldn't have. I knew that. But I needed to know what I was dealing with. I scrolled through his inbox. Bills, promotional emails, messages from his ex-wife about child support. Then I saw it. An email thread from 6 months ago. Subject line, estate planning consultation. My finger hovered over it. This was crossing a line, reading my son's private emails. But he'd crossed a line first, forging my signature, meeting with lawyers behind my back. I opened the email. It was from a lawyer named Robert Chambers, the same man I'd seen at the coffee shop. I recognized him from the firm's website photo in the signature line. Mr. Thompson, thank you for your inquiry regarding your mother's estate. As we discussed, updating the trust documents without your mother's direct involvement would require showing that she lacks capacity to make her own financial decisions. I understand you have concerns about her cognitive state. We can discuss options for medical evaluations and guardianship petitions if necessary. Please call my office to schedule a follow-up consultation. I read it again. And again, medical evaluations, guardianship petitions, showing I lacked capacity. Michael had replied, "Thank you. I need to move forward with this before the situation gets worse. My mother has been forgetting things, repeating herself. I'm worried she's not managing her finances properly. I think we should schedule that follow-up soon." Forgetting things, repeating herself. I'd never forgotten anything. I did the crossword puzzle every morning. I managed my own investments. I balanced my checkbook to the penny. He was lying, building a false narrative, creating a record that would make it look like I was incompetent. I kept scrolling, more emails. Michael had contacted 3 different law firms. The first 2 had apparently declined. I found rejection emails, polite but firm. "We cannot assist with this matter." Robert Chambers was the third, the one who'd said yes. There was another email from 3 weeks ago, Michael to Robert. I found my mother's original estate documents. I have copies of her signature from the POA she gave me. I've been practicing. I think I can match it well enough for the initial filing. Once we get guardianship, everything becomes legal anyway. We just need to move quickly before she realizes what's happening. My vision blurred. I had to read it twice to make sure I understood. He'd been practicing my signature, planning to forge documents, planning to file for guardianship, planning to take control of everything, and he'd written it down in an email. I took a screenshot, then another. Every email in the thread. I sent them to my own email address. Evidence. I'd need evidence. Then I saw the calendar app. I opened it, scrolled back 3 months, October 15th. Mom's signature, practice, November 3rd. Call R. Chambers, guardianship timeline. December 7th. Bank, add name to Mom's account. With a note, declined, need Mom present. January 23rd. Property deed transfer research. He'd been planning this for 6 months, methodically, carefully, while I'd been making him Sunday dinners, while we'd been celebrating Christmas, while I'd been going to Sarah's volleyball games and Jake's soccer matches. I heard a sound. Footsteps on my front porch. My heart stopped. I closed the iPad, shoved it in the drawer, stood up just as I heard a key in the lock. Michael had a key. I'd given it to him years ago, for emergencies. The front door opened. "Mom!" His voice echoed from the entryway. I grabbed the estate documents from my desk, spread the newspaper over them, tried to look casual. My heart was pounding so hard I thought he'd hear it. "Mom, you awake?" Footsteps coming down the hall. I walked out of the office, met him at the doorway. "Michael, what are you doing here? It's 2:30 in the morning." He looked startled. "I was driving by, saw your light on. I was worried." Driving by at 2:30 in the morning? I couldn't sleep. Went for a drive. Your house is on the way back to my apartment. He looked past me, at the desk, at the newspaper. "What are you doing up?" I couldn't sleep either. I was reading. He stepped closer. I blocked the doorway with my body. He couldn't see the iPad in the drawer, couldn't see that I'd been going through his emails. "You sure you're okay?" he asked. "You've seemed distracted lately." There it was again. Planting the seed, distracted, forgetful, not quite right. "I'm fine, Michael, just had trouble sleeping. It happens sometimes." "Maybe you should see a doctor, get checked out." "I don't need a doctor, I need sleep, and you showing up at 2:30 in the morning isn't helping." He held up his hands. "Okay, sorry, I was just worried about you." "I'm 70, not 90. I can take care of myself." "I know. I know you can. He backed toward the hallway. I'll let you get some sleep. Sorry I bothered you. Lock the door on your way out. I waited, listening. The front door opened, closed. The lock clicked. I went to the window, watched his car pull away. He hadn't been driving by. Our house wasn't on the way to anything. He'd come here deliberately. Had he seen me at the coffee shop? Did he know I'd seen him with the lawyer? Or had he come to check on me? To see if I was awake? To see if I'd noticed anything? I went back to the office, pulled out the iPad. My hands were shaking so hard I could barely hold it. There was one more email I'd missed, sent yesterday. After the coffee shop meeting, Robert Chambers to Michael. Documents ready for your review. As discussed, we'll need your mother's signature on the trust amendment and the updated power of attorney. Once those are filed, we can move forward with the asset transfer. Timeline, 3 to 4 weeks if no complications. 3 to 4 weeks. I had 3 to 4 weeks before Michael tried to transfer my assets, before he tried to take my house, my retirement, everything I'd worked for, guardianship. The word made my blood run cold. He wasn't just trying to steal my money. He was trying to take my independence, my autonomy, my right to make my own decisions. He was trying to take everything. I looked at the clock. 2:45 in the morning. Too late to call anyone. Too early to know what to do next. But I knew one thing. I couldn't confront Michael directly. If he knew I'd found out, he'd have time to hide the evidence, to prepare his defense, to make it all sound reasonable. I needed help. Professional help. Someone who dealt with this kind of thing. I opened my laptop again, searched elder law attorney near me. Tomorrow. First thing tomorrow morning. I'd call a lawyer of my own. Because if Michael thought I was going to sit quietly while he stole my life, he was about to learn something about his mother. I wasn't a victim, and I wasn't going down without a fight. Friday morning, I called the first elder law attorney on my search list. Her receptionist said she was booked for 3 weeks. The second attorney was on vacation. The third didn't practice in my county. The fourth was Karen Chen. Her receptionist said she had a cancellation that afternoon. 3 o'clock. Could I make it? I said yes. Karen's office was on the 3rd floor of a building downtown, small but organized. Diplomas on the wall, Chinese characters in a frame next to her law degree, a photo of her parents, immigrants, she'd tell me later, who'd worked in restaurants so she could go to law school. She was 52, sharp eyes, firm handshake, no-nonsense demeanor that made me feel like I'd come to the right place. Mrs. Thompson, tell me what's happening. I told her everything. The coffee shop, the signature, the emails on Michael's iPad, the calendar entries, the timeline, the 3 to 4 weeks deadline. She listened without interrupting, took notes. When I finished, she looked up. Do you still have those screenshots? The emails? Yes. I sent them to myself. Good. That's evidence. She opened her laptop. I'm going to need copies of your original estate documents, and I want to order a forensic document analysis. If your son has forged your signature on anything that's been filed, we need to prove it wasn't you. How long does that take? 72 hours. Rush service. She leaned forward. Mrs. Thompson, this is serious. What your son is planning, forging legal documents, filing for guardianship under false pretenses, these are crimes. Felonies. Do you understand that? I nodded. My throat felt tight. I need to ask you something directly. Are you experiencing any cognitive decline, memory issues, confusion? No, nothing. Good. We'll get that documented. I want you to see your primary care physician this week. Get a full cognitive evaluation. We need medical proof that you're competent, that his claims are false. She typed something, then looked at me again. Here's what's going to happen. We're going to gather evidence. We're going to document everything. And then we're going to stop him. But I need you to do something for me. What? Don't confront him. Don't let him know you're on to him. If he finds out, he'll destroy evidence. He'll file those forged documents immediately before we can stop him. Can you do that? I thought about Sunday dinners, about Sarah's volleyball game, about pretending everything was normal while my son plotted against me. "Yes," I said, "I can do that." "Good. I'll call you when the forensic analysis comes back." 3 days later, Karen called. "Can you come to my office? I have the results." I drove there, hands tight on the wheel, the same route I'd taken Friday, but everything felt different now, heavier. Karen's office was cold. The air conditioning was too high. I wrapped my cardigan tighter and sat down. She opened a folder, pulled out 2 documents, placed them side by side on her desk. "This," she said, pointing to the left, "is your signature from your original power of attorney, the one you actually signed 3 years ago. And this," she pointed to the right, "is a signature from a trust amendment that was filed with the county clerk's office 2 weeks ago, the one you told me you never signed." I leaned forward, stared at both signatures. They looked identical, almost. "Look at the M," Karen said. She pulled out a magnifying glass. "Your authentic signature. The M starts high, but there's a slight wobble at the top. Natural. The way a hand actually moves when you're writing quickly." I looked. She was right. A tiny imperfection I'd never noticed. Now look at the forged signature. The M is too perfect, too controlled, like someone drew it carefully, slowly. I saw it. The difference was microscopic, but it was there. And here. She pointed to the T in Thompson. "Your real signature. The flourish curves naturally. But the forged one? The curve is too exact, like someone traced it, multiple times, until they got it right." My hands started shaking. I sat back in my chair. The forensic examiner's conclusion is unequivocal. 99.8% certainty. This signature was not written by you. Someone practiced your signature and forged this document. I sat in Karen's office looking at the 2 signatures side by side. One was mine. The other, I could see where he'd practiced, the slight hesitation in the M, the too careful E. My own son had practiced forging my name. Karen gave me a moment. Then she continued, "That's not all. I had my paralegal pull your county records. There are 3 documents filed in the last 6 weeks with your signature on them, none of which you signed." She laid out 3 more pages. Trust amendment. Property deed transfer adding Michael as co-owner. Updated financial power of attorney giving him full control of your accounts. "All forged?" I asked. My voice sounded far away. "All forged." Karen opened another folder. "I subpoenaed your bank records, with your permission, obviously." I'd signed the authorization Friday. Hadn't thought about what she'd find. 4 months ago, Michael attempted to add himself as co-owner on your primary checking account. The bank declined. Standard procedure requires both parties present. When they called you to schedule an appointment, you said you hadn't authorized it. I remembered. The bank manager, Maria Santos, had called. I'd been confused, told her I hadn't asked Michael to do that. She'd flagged the account. "That was good instinct," Karen said. "You stopped him before he got access." She pulled out another page. "But he didn't stop trying. 3 months ago, there was a credit inquiry on your property. Someone applied for a reverse mortgage in your name. The application was denied because the signature didn't match the one on file with the county." "A reverse mortgage? On my house?" "He was trying to access your home equity. If it had gone through, he could have taken out hundreds of thousands of dollars against your property." "My house. The one I'd paid off over 30 years. He'd tried to borrow against it, without telling me." Karen wasn't finished. "I also found this." She showed me insurance documents. 2 months ago, there was an attempt to change the beneficiary on your life insurance policy from your estate, which would be divided per your will, to Michael directly, sole beneficiary. My life insurance? The policy was worth $180,000, enough to cover my funeral, to leave something for Sarah and Jake. The insurance company caught it, required verification. When they sent you a letter, you didn't respond because you never got it. Michael had changed your mailing address with them to a P.O. box he controls. How many of my accounts has he accessed? Karen's face was grim. We're still finding out, but based on what I've seen so far, he's been trying to access your assets for at least 6 months. Every avenue he can think of. Bank accounts, property, insurance, trust documents. He's been systematic. She pulled out her laptop, showed me emails. The same ones I'd found on the iPad, plus more. Messages between Michael and Robert Chambers. A timeline. A strategy. He planned this carefully, Mrs. Thompson. And if that trust amendment had gone through, he would have had legal authority to transfer your assets, to sell your house, to liquidate your retirement accounts, all before you even knew what was happening. There's more, Karen said. She pulled out medical records. I subpoenaed your healthcare records, with your authorization. I'd signed that too. Not sure what she'd find. 3 months ago, Michael scheduled a dementia screening for you at a clinic across town. You never went because you never knew about it. He'd made the appointment in your name, forged your signature on the intake forms. Why would he do that? To build a medical record showing cognitive decline. If you'd gone, he would have coached the doctors, told them you were forgetful, confused. They would have documented it. Then he could use those records to petition for guardianship. Guardianship, that word again. When you didn't show up, he tried a different approach. He contacted your primary care physician, Dr. Morrison, asked him to provide a fitness evaluation for you, claimed he was concerned about your ability to manage your finances. Dr. Morrison never called me about that. Because Dr. Morrison is a good doctor. He reviewed your file. You've been his patient for 15 years. No cognitive issues, no memory problems. He noted in his records, and I'm quoting here, patient is competent and capable. Son's concerns appear unfounded. Karen showed me the doctor's notes. I read them twice. Your healthcare power of attorney gives Michael limited authority, emergency medical decisions only, but he's been trying to exceed that authority for months, scheduling appointments you don't know about, requesting evaluations you don't need, building a false medical narrative. Karen pulled out one more document, property records, public information from the county clerk's office. 2 weeks ago, a deed transfer was filed, changing your property from sole ownership to joint ownership with Michael, your house, the one you've lived in for 38 years, the one that's worth $520,000. She showed me the document, my address, my property description, and at the bottom, my signature. Forged. The title company flagged it immediately. The signature looked off. The notary public who supposedly witnessed it? Turns out that person doesn't exist, completely fabricated. The title company launched an investigation. That's actually how I was able to get these records so quickly. There's already a fraud report filed with the county. So the transfer didn't go through? No, but if they hadn't caught it, Michael would have had legal ownership of half your house. He could have forced a sale, or borrowed against it, or claimed it in a foreclosure. Once his name was on that deed, you'd have had to sue him to get it removed. I sat there. 3 documents, bank records, medical records, property records. Michael had tried to access everything, my money, my health decisions, my home. The evidence is clear, Mrs. Thompson. Your son has been attempting to commit financial elder abuse, forgery, fraud, identity theft. These are serious crimes. Karen closed the folders, looked at me directly. Now we need to decide what you want to do about it. That night, I couldn't stop thinking about Karen's question. What did I want to do about it? I sat at my kitchen table, the same table where I'd helped Michael with homework for 12 years, the same table where we'd planned his wedding, where we'd celebrated holidays, where I'd held Sarah and Jake when they were babies, and I realized I didn't know this person anymore. The man who'd forged my signature, who'd tried to steal my house, who'd scheduled medical appointments to make me look incompetent. But I knew myself, and I wasn't going to be a victim. Saturday morning, I drove to the cemetery. I hadn't been there in months. David's grave was in the south section, under an oak tree. I'd picked the spot because he'd always liked shade. I sat on the bench nearby, stared at the headstone. David Andrew Thompson. 1952 to 2019. beloved husband and father. He's trying to take everything, I said out loud. Everything we built, everything I've worked for. The wind moved through the oak leaves. No answer. I didn't expect one. I don't know what to do. He's my son. But if I don't stop him, I'll lose everything. The house, my independence, my ability to make my own decisions. I thought about guardianship, about what it meant, a court declaring me incompetent, Michael having legal authority over my life, over my medical care, my finances, where I lived, who I saw. It wasn't just about money. It was about autonomy, about being able to live in my own house, make my own choices, be myself. I raised him to be better than this, I said. I don't know where I went wrong. But maybe that was the problem. Maybe I hadn't gone wrong. Maybe Michael had made his own choices, and those choices had consequences. I stood up, touched the headstone. I have to protect myself, even from him. Sunday, Michael called. Mom, are you coming to Sarah's volleyball game 2:00? I almost said no, almost made an excuse, but Karen's voice was in my head. Don't let him know you're onto him. I'll be there, I said. The game was at the high school gymnasium. Sarah's team won. She played well, 16 years old, strong, confident, everything I'd hoped she'd become. After the game, Michael walked over. Want to grab dinner? Sarah has plans with friends, but I thought we could catch up. I looked at him. My son, 48 years old, gray at the temples now, lines around his eyes. He looked tired, stressed. For a moment I felt it, that pull, the maternal instinct that wanted to fix things, to help, to make it better. But then I remembered the forged signatures, the guardianship petition, the timeline, 3 to 4 weeks. I can't tonight, I said. I have plans with Diane. Oh, okay. He hesitated. Mom, are you sure you're feeling all right? You seem distant. There it was again, planting the narrative. Distant. Not quite right. I'm fine, Michael, just busy. If you need anything, I'll let you know. I left before he could say more. Got in my car. Drove home. My hands were shaking, but I'd done it. I'd looked him in the eye, acted normal, kept the secret. Monday morning, I went back to my home office, the room where I'd found the emails, where I'd spread out the estate documents, where everything had started to unravel. I opened the filing cabinet, pulled out every document I had, organized them on the desk. This time, I wasn't panicking. I wasn't afraid. I was planning. Karen had said we needed to act fast. Michael's timeline was 3 to 4 weeks. We had maybe 2 weeks left before he tried to file those forged documents officially. Before he petitioned for guardianship, we had to move first. I took photos of everything, every document, every signature, created a digital folder, backed it up to the cloud, emailed copies to Karen. Then I made a list. What did I need to protect? My house, $520,000, paid off, mine. My retirement accounts, $240,000, decades of careful saving. My bank accounts, $80,000, emergency fund, living expenses, total $840,000. That's what Michael was trying to take, not because he hated me, but because he needed it, because he was drowning financially and saw me as a life raft, and I understood that. I did. His divorce, his job loss, the investment property underwater, child support he couldn't afford. He was desperate. But desperation didn't excuse what he'd done. Forgery. Fraud. Planning to have me declared incompetent. I'd sacrificed everything for him, given him every opportunity, put his needs above mine for 38 years, and he'd repaid me by trying to steal my independence. I looked at the photos on my bookshelf. Michael at 10, gap-toothed and smiling. Michael at 18, high school graduation. Michael at 25, wedding day with Jennifer. And I thought about another memory, one I hadn't let myself remember in years. May 1998, Michael's college graduation. I'd sat in that stadium exhausted from 4 years of double shifts and summer school. But when he walked across that stage and got his diploma, when he found me in the crowd and smiled, it had been worth it. Every sacrifice, every exhausted morning, I'd given him a future. Now, 26 years later, I was sitting in my home office, looking at evidence that he'd tried to take mine. I closed my eyes, let myself grieve, not for long, just a moment. Grief for the relationship I'd thought we had, for the son I'd believed him to be, for the man I'd hoped he'd become. Then I opened my eyes, put the photos face down in the drawer, not gone, just, I couldn't look at them right now. I pulled out a legal pad, started writing. Karen had asked what I wanted to do. Now I knew. I wanted an emergency protective order, stop the forged documents from being processed. I wanted my assets protected, my house secured, my accounts flagged against unauthorized access. I wanted a no-contact order, boundaries, distance, until I could figure out what our relationship looked like after this. And if he didn't cooperate, if he tried to fight it, if he kept pushing, I wanted those criminal charges filed, fraud, forgery, elder abuse. I wasn't doing this to punish him. I was doing it to protect myself. Because at 70 years old, I'd learned something important. You can love someone and still need to protect yourself from them. I sat at my kitchen table, the same table where I'd helped him with homework for 12 years, the same table where we'd planned his wedding, and I realized I didn't know this person anymore, but I knew myself, and I wasn't going to be a victim. I called Karen that afternoon. I know what I want to do. Tell me. I want to stop him, legally, completely. I want my assets protected. I want boundaries, and I want everything documented so if he tries this again, there's a record. Good, Karen said. That's what I'd recommend. Here's what we're going to do. We'll file an emergency petition with the probate court. Freeze any pending estate actions. We'll notify the county clerk that your signatures have been forged. We'll put protective flags on all your financial accounts, and we'll prepare a cease and desist letter to Michael and his attorney. How long will that take? If we file tomorrow, the emergency order can be granted within 72 hours. Then we move to the next phase, which is confrontation. We need to make Michael aware that you know what he's done, that you have evidence, that his options are cooperate and settle this civilly or face criminal prosecution. My stomach tightened. Confrontation. I'd been avoiding it for weeks, acting normal, pretending I didn't know. But Karen was right. We couldn't stop him without telling him we knew. When? I asked. Once the protective order is in place, once your assets are secured, then we'll arrange a meeting, formal mediation, with his attorney present, everything on the record. And if he refuses, then we file a police report. The DA's office gets involved, but I don't think it'll come to that. Once Michael sees the evidence, once he realizes you're serious, he'll cooperate. The alternative is prison time. After I hung up, I sat in my home office. Morning light filled the room, the same room where I'd discovered his emails, where I'd made the decision to fight back. I'd been conflict avoidant my entire life, kept the peace, avoided confrontation, chosen harmony over honesty. Not this time. This time I was choosing myself. Karen filed the emergency petition Tuesday morning. By Thursday afternoon, the probate court granted the protective order. Every pending estate action involving my name was frozen. The county clerk was notified that signatures had been forged. My bank accounts were flagged against unauthorized access. Michael didn't know yet, but he was about to find out. Karen had one more piece of news. The title company filed a fraud report with the district attorney's office. DA called me this morning. They want to investigate. What does that mean? It means this isn't just a civil matter anymore. Forging signatures on property deeds is a felony. The DA can file criminal charges if you're willing to cooperate with their investigation. I sat in Karen's office, the same chair where I'd learned about the forged signatures, where I'd seen the evidence spread across her desk. Would Michael go to prison? Possibly. If convicted, document forgery carries 2 to 5 years. Add in the financial fraud, the attempted guardianship under false pretenses. He could be looking at 7 to 10. 7 to 10 years. My son, in prison. What if I just want this to stop? I don't want to destroy his life. I just want him to leave me alone. Karen leaned forward. That's an option. We can use the criminal investigation as leverage. Tell Michael and his attorney, cooperate in civil mediation, return all forged documents, sign an affidavit admitting what he did, agree to a permanent no-contact order, and you won't press charges. But if he refuses, if he fights you on this, the DA moves forward. Can they do that without me? They can. Once they have evidence of a crime, it's their decision, but they'll follow your lead. If you're willing to testify, they'll prosecute. If you're not, they'll likely drop it. I thought about Sarah and Jake. If their father went to prison, what would that do to them? But if I didn't stop him now, completely, what would stop him from trying again in 5 years? 10 years? Let's try mediation first, I said, with the criminal charges as backup. Good. I'll contact Robert Chambers, Michael's attorney. Let him know what we have. Give him 48 hours to respond. That night, my phone rang. Sarah, video call. I almost didn't answer. I wasn't ready to talk to her about this. But I couldn't avoid her forever. Her face appeared on screen, 16. My granddaughter, Michael's daughter. Caught in the middle of something she didn't understand yet. Hi, Grandma, you okay? Dad said you seemed weird at my volleyball game. Weird. That's what Michael was telling her. I'm fine, sweetie, just busy. With what? I hesitated. Should I tell her? Should I protect her from this? But she deserved the truth. Age-appropriate truth, but truth. Sarah, has your dad talked to you about me lately? About my health? She looked uncomfortable. He said you've been forgetting things, that you're having trouble managing your finances. He said he's trying to help you, but you won't let him. There it was, the narrative. Building the case, not just with lawyers and doctors, but with his own children. Sarah, I'm not forgetting anything. I'm 70 years old, not 90. I balance my checkbook. I manage my investments. I do the crossword puzzle every morning. I'm fine. Then why is Dad saying? Because he needs you to believe that, to justify what he's doing. What is he doing? I chose my words carefully. Your dad is having financial problems, big ones, and he's trying to access my money without my permission. He's forged some legal documents, made it look like I signed things I never signed. Sarah's eyes widened. What? That's... Grandma, are you sure? I have proof. Forensic analysis, a lawyer, everything documented. Does Dad know you know? Not yet, but he will soon. Sarah was quiet, processing. Then, Grandma, a few weeks ago, I saw some papers on Dad's kitchen table. Legal stuff. I saw your signature on them, but it looked weird, like too perfect. I thought maybe I was imagining it. My heart started pounding. What kind of papers? I don't know, something about a trust. Dad came in and grabbed them really fast, said it was private, but I'd already seen your name. Sarah, this is important. Did you take a picture? No, I didn't think, should I have? It's okay, but if you see anything else like that, if your dad says anything about me, about my health, about helping me, I need you to tell me. Can you do that? She nodded. Grandma, I'm scared. What's going to happen? I'm protecting myself, and I'm protecting you and Jake. Your dad made some bad choices. Now there are consequences. But you and Jake, you're not responsible for what he did. You understand? Will we still be able to see you? Of course. Always. This is between me and your dad, not between me and you. After we hung up, I sat there holding my phone. Sarah had seen the documents. She'd noticed the signature looked wrong. Even his own daughter had suspected something was off. Friday morning, Robert Chambers called Karen. I was in her office when she put him on speaker. Miss Chen, my client is willing to discuss a settlement. He'd like to resolve this amicably. Your client forged legal documents, attempted to file fraudulent property transfers, and planned to petition for guardianship under false pretenses. There's nothing amicable about that. My client made some errors in judgment. He was trying to help his mother manage her affairs during a difficult time. Your client committed multiple felonies. Silence. Then, what does Mrs. Thompson want? Karen looked at me. I nodded. Complete asset protection, no contact order, restitution for legal fees, and a signed affidavit admitting what he did. My client won't sign an admission of fraud. Then the DA files charges on Monday. More silence. Let me talk to my client. I'll call you back. He didn't call back for 3 days. Monday afternoon, Robert Chambers sent a settlement offer. $5,000 toward my legal fees. Michael would return all forged documents. He'd sign a statement that there had been a misunderstanding about my estate planning wishes. No admission of fraud. Karen showed me the email. What do you think? He's still lying, calling it a misunderstanding, not admitting what he did. Exactly. This offer is insulting. He's hoping you'll take it just to make this go away. What do? Reject it. Counter with our original terms, and make it clear, if he doesn't agree, we proceed with mediation and the DA investigation. Karen sent the response. We waited. Tuesday night, I was in my kitchen making dinner when I heard footsteps on my front porch, then pounding on the door. Mom, open the door! Michael. My heart was racing. I hadn't seen him since Sarah's volleyball game, since before he knew I'd found out. But apparently, his attorney had told him. Mom, we need to talk. I walked to the door, didn't open it. Michael, you need to leave. You hired a lawyer. You're threatening me with criminal charges. You forged my signature multiple times. You tried to steal my house. I was trying to help you. By lying? By making people think I'm incompetent? You don't understand. I'm about to lose everything, the foreclosure, child support. You needed to ask me. Not steal from me. I heard him breathing hard on the other side of the door, then quieter. Mom, please, can we just talk about this? Face to face? No, my attorney will contact yours. That's how we communicate now. Mom, leave, Michael, or I'm calling the police. Silence, then footsteps, walking away, car door slamming, engine starting. I watched through the window as his car pulled away. My hands were shaking, but I'd done it, set a boundary. Held it. Diane appeared at my door 5 minutes later. She'd seen Michael's car, heard the shouting. You okay? She asked. I'm okay. She came in anyway, made tea, sat with me. I'm proud of you, she said. Standing up to him, that's the hardest part. I don't feel strong, I feel exhausted. That's what strength feels like sometimes. Wednesday morning, Robert Chambers called Karen again. New offer. Michael would pay $10,000 toward legal fees. He'd sign an affidavit saying he made mistakes in handling my estate planning. He'd agree to a limited no-contact order, no direct contact, but he could attend family events where I was present. No criminal charges filed. Karen forwarded me the offer. Better, but still not enough. He's not admitting forgery. The no-contact order is weak, and $10,000 doesn't cover your actual legal fees. How much are my fees? $18,000 so far. Could go higher if we go to full litigation. $18,000. Money I wouldn't have had to spend if Michael hadn't done this. What do you recommend? Reject this too. Push for mediation, face to face, with all the evidence on the table. Sometimes people need to see exactly what they did in front of witnesses, on the record. And if he still won't agree, then we file a civil suit and notify the DA we're ready to cooperate with prosecution. Karen sent the rejection and a new proposal, formal mediation. Next Tuesday, both attorneys present, all evidence presented, final settlement terms negotiated on the record. Take it or leave it. Thursday afternoon, Sarah called again. Grandma, Dad just tried to call me from a blocked number. I didn't answer, but he left a voicemail. He's saying you're confused, that your lawyer is taking advantage of you, that I need to talk to you and make you stop. Did you record it? Yes. Should I send it to you? Send it to my attorney, Karen Chen. I'll text you her email. Grandma, he sounds really desperate, like scary desperate. I know, sweetie, that's why we have to do this legally, with lawyers, with everything documented, so he can't hurt anyone else. After Sarah sent the voicemail, Karen called me. This is good. More evidence that he's trying to manipulate family members, trying to isolate you. We can use this. How? In mediation, to show the pattern. Forgery, fraud, manipulation, intimidation. He's not just made mistakes. He systematically tried to take control of your life. Friday evening, Robert Chambers emailed Karen. Michael agreed to mediation. Tuesday afternoon, 2:00. Karen forwarded me the email, added a note. This is it. He'll face you with all the evidence on the table. Are you ready? I sat in my kitchen, same table where I'd made the decision to fight back, where I'd organized the documents, where I'd called Karen that first time. Was I ready to sit across from my son and watch him confront what he'd done? No, I wasn't ready, but I was going to do it anyway. Tuesday morning, I woke up at 5, couldn't sleep. The mediation was at 2. I made coffee, sat at my kitchen table, thought about what was coming. Karen had prepared me. Michael will have his attorney. We'll have a neutral mediator. Everything will be on the record. You don't have to say much. I'll present the evidence. But at some point, you may need to speak directly to him to make it clear that you're serious, that you're not backing down. I'd asked her what I should say. She'd said, say what you need to say, what he needs to hear. Now, sitting in my kitchen, I tried to imagine it. Sitting across from Michael, looking him in the eye, confronting him with everything he'd done. I couldn't imagine it. But in 8 hours, I'd be doing it. The mediation was in a conference room downtown, 3rd floor, neutral location, nobody's territory. Karen met me in the parking lot. You ready? No. Good. If you were ready, I'd be worried. She handed me a folder, your copy of everything, all the evidence. You don't need to look at it during the mediation. It's just so you know it's there. We took the elevator up, walked down a long hallway, cream-colored walls, fluorescent lights. The building smelled like coffee and copy machines. The conference room was at the end of the hall, door open. I could see inside, a long table, windows on one side, a water pitcher, glasses, folders already laid out, and Michael, sitting on the far side, with Robert Chambers, his attorney. Michael looked up when I walked in. Our eyes met. He looked awful, thinner than I'd seen him, dark circles under his eyes, his suit jacket wrinkled, like he'd slept in it. For a second, just a second, I felt it, that maternal pull, the instinct to fix it, to help. Then I remembered the forged signatures, the guardianship petition, the 3 to 4 week timeline, and I sat down across from him. The mediator arrived, an older woman, mid-60s, gray hair pulled back, reading glasses on a chain. She introduced herself as Susan Hartwell, 30 years of family law mediation. We're here today to resolve a dispute between Margaret Thompson and her son, Michael Thompson, regarding estate planning documents and financial matters. This is a voluntary mediation. Everything said here is confidential unless both parties agree otherwise. My role is to facilitate communication and help you reach an agreement. I'm not a judge. I don't make decisions. You do. She looked at both of us. Ms. Chen, you may begin. Karen opened her folder. Thank you. I'm here representing Mrs. Margaret Thompson. We're here today because Mr. Michael Thompson has engaged in a systematic pattern of financial fraud against his mother. He has forged her signature on multiple legal documents. He has attempted to access her financial accounts without authorization. He has filed fraudulent property transfers, and he has planned to petition for guardianship based on false claims of her incompetence. Robert Chambers started to interrupt. The mediator held up her hand. Mr. Chambers, you'll have your turn. Let Miss Chen finish. Karen continued. I have forensic evidence, bank records, email communications, medical records, property filings, all of which demonstrate that Mr. Thompson has committed multiple felonies under state law. forgery, fraud, attempted theft, elder abuse. She placed a document on the table, slid it toward the center. This is a forensic analysis of Mrs. Thompson's signature, conducted by a certified handwriting expert. It compares her authentic signature from documents she actually signed with signatures on 3 documents filed in the past 6 weeks. She laid out 3 more pages, side by side. Trust amendment, property deed transfer, updated power of attorney. The expert's conclusion: all 3 signatures are forgeries, 99.8% certainty. Michael was staring at the table, not looking at the documents, not looking at me. Karen placed another document down. Bank records. 4 months ago, Mr. Thompson attempted to add himself as co-owner on Mrs. Thompson's primary checking account. The bank declined because she hadn't authorized it. 3 months ago, someone applied for a reverse mortgage on Mrs. Thompson's property. The application was denied when the signature didn't match records. 2 months ago, there was an attempt to change the beneficiary on her life insurance policy. Another document. Email communications between Mr. Thompson and his attorney, Robert Chambers. In these emails, Mr. Thompson explicitly discusses forging his mother's signature. He writes, and I'm quoting, "I've been practicing. I think I can match it well enough for the initial filing." Michael's face went pale. Medical records. Mr. Thompson scheduled a dementia screening for his mother without her knowledge, forged her signature on intake forms. When she didn't show up, he contacted her physician requesting a fitness evaluation, claiming concerns about her cognitive ability. Her physician reviewed her records and noted, quote, "Patient is competent and capable. Son's concerns appear unfounded." Karen paused. Let it sink in. Finally, property records. 2 weeks ago, a deed transfer was filed with the county clerk, attempting to change ownership of Mrs. Thompson's home from sole ownership to joint ownership with Mr. Thompson. The signature was forged. The notary was fabricated. The title company flagged it immediately and filed a fraud report with the district attorney's office. She stacked the documents, neat pile, right in the center of the table. That's where we are. Mrs. Thompson has been the victim of systematic financial fraud by her own son. The DA is prepared to file criminal charges, but Mrs. Thompson is willing to resolve this civilly if Mr. Thompson agrees to specific terms. The mediator turned to Robert Chambers. "Mr. Chambers, your response?" Robert cleared his throat. "My client acknowledges that there have been some misunderstandings regarding Mrs. Thompson's estate planning. Mr. Thompson was under significant financial stress due to his divorce and job loss. He made some poor decisions in attempting to help his mother manage her affairs. However, he had no intent to defraud her or to harm her in any way." "Misunderstandings?" Karen's voice was sharp. "He forged legal documents. That's not a misunderstanding. That's a crime. My client is willing to make restitution and to agree to boundaries moving forward, but we dispute the characterization of his actions as—" "He wrote it in an email," Karen interrupted. "He literally wrote, 'I've been practicing her signature.' How do you dispute that?" Robert looked at Michael. Michael was still staring at the table. The mediator intervened. "Let's hear from Mr. Thompson directly. Mr. Thompson, would you like to speak?" Michael looked up. His eyes were red. He looked at his attorney, then at me. "Mom," he said. His voice cracked. "I know what this looks like. I was desperate. The divorce cost me everything. The house, half my retirement. Child support I can barely afford. Then I lost my job. The rental property I bought, I thought it would save me. It's underwater. Foreclosure in 60 days. He stopped, took a breath. "I thought if I could just access some of the equity in your house, I could fix everything and pay you back before you even noticed. I wasn't trying to hurt you. You're my mother. I thought you'd want to help if you knew how bad it was. I was trying to save my kids from losing everything." Silence. The room felt too small. I looked at him, really looked at him. My son, 48 years old, drowning, desperate. And I felt it. Sympathy. Understanding. He was scared. He was failing. He'd made terrible choices out of panic. But then I thought about the guardianship petition, about him trying to have me declared incompetent, about the forged signatures, the lies to Sarah and Jake. I spoke for the first time. My voice was steady. Michael, I raised you alone for 28 years after your father left. I gave you everything I had. Every dollar I earned went to your future. $85,000 for college, $40,000 for your house, $25,000 for your business, $15,000 for your wedding. I sacrificed everything. He couldn't look at me. If you needed help, you could have asked me. We could have figured something out together. Maybe I could have helped. Maybe I couldn't. But you didn't ask. Instead, you forged my signature. You tried to convince people I was incompetent. You scheduled medical appointments to make it look like I had dementia. You were going to take my home, the home I worked 32 years to pay off. My voice got quieter, but firmer. That's not desperation, Michael. That's betrayal. And I won't let you do this to me, not even to save your kids. Because if I don't protect myself, who will? Michael's hands were shaking. He put them under the table. The mediator waited. Then, Mrs. Thompson, what are your terms? Karen spoke. Full asset protection, all forged documents withdrawn and destroyed. Mr. Thompson signs an affidavit admitting to the forgery. Permanent no-contact order. No direct contact with Mrs. Thompson except through attorneys. Restitution of $18,000 for legal fees paid over 24 months. And the criminal investigation remains open, but charges held in abeyance as long as Mr. Thompson complies with all terms. That's, Robert started. Non-negotiable, Karen said. Take it or the DA files charges Monday morning. The mediator looked at Michael. Mr. Thompson, do you understand these terms? Michael nodded. Barely. Do you agree to them? He looked at his attorney. Robert leaned over, whispered something. Michael shook his head. Then he looked at me. Can Sarah and Jake still see you? That was the first thing he asked. Not about the money, not about the charges, about his kids. That's their choice, I said. You and I are done, but they're always welcome. They're not responsible for what you did. Michael closed his eyes, opened them. Okay, I'll sign. Robert pulled out the settlement agreement. The mediator reviewed it, page by page, every term, every condition. Michael signed. His hands were shaking so badly he could barely write. When it was done, the mediator collected the copies. This agreement is binding. Violations will result in immediate contempt proceedings and potential criminal prosecution. Do you both understand? We nodded. Then we're finished here. Michael stood up, walked to the door, stopped, looked back at me. Mom, I'm sorry. I didn't respond. There was nothing to say. He left. Robert Chambers followed him. I sat there, Karen next to me, the mediator gathering papers. When the mediator read the terms of the settlement, I didn't feel triumphant, just tired, relieved, but mostly just tired. I'd protected myself. That would have to be enough. Karen touched my arm. You did good. This is over. Is it? The legal part is. The rest, that's up to you. We walked out together, down the hallway, into the elevator, through the lobby. Outside, the afternoon sun was bright, too bright. I squinted. Karen handed me copies of everything. The settlement agreement, the no-contact order, the affidavit Michael had signed. It's over, she said again. But I knew it wasn't. Not really. There was still so much to rebuild. The first month after the mediation was the hardest. The no-contact order was in place. Michael wasn't allowed to call, wasn't allowed to come to my house, wasn't allowed to contact me at all except through attorneys. But the silence was strange. 48 years, he'd been part of my life, and now, nothing. The restitution payment started, $750 a month, court-ordered wage garnishment. I got a notification every time a payment posted to my account. $18,000 over 24 months. It would never cover the actual cost, the legal fees, the time, the emotional toll, but it was something. Acknowledgement, consequence. Karen had flagged all my accounts, my bank, my credit cards, my investment accounts. Michael's name and social security number were blocked. Any attempt to access would trigger an alert. My house deed was secured. New title insurance. Extra verification layers. If anyone tried to file a transfer, the title company would contact me directly, multiple times, with photo ID required in person. The county clerk's office had a permanent note on my file. All previous forged documents were marked as fraudulent. Officially voided, my estate was protected. 2 weeks after the mediation, Sarah came to visit. She drove down on a Saturday morning. I made coffee, set out muffins. We sat at the kitchen table. "Grandma, I'm sorry," her first words. "You don't have anything to be sorry for. You didn't do anything wrong." "I should have seen it sooner. The way Dad talked about you, the papers I saw, I should have known." "You're 16, Sarah. You're not responsible for your father's choices." She was quiet for a moment. Then she pulled out an envelope, handwritten, my name on the front in her careful script. "I wrote you a letter. I know we're talking now, but I needed to write it anyway." I opened it, read it right there while she watched. "Grandma, I'm so sorry I didn't see what Dad was doing sooner. When he told me and Jake you were forgetting things, I believed him because he's my dad. But then I saw those papers, and your signature looked wrong. And you're not forgetting anything. You never forget my volleyball games or my grades or what I tell you. Thank you for being brave enough to stop him. Thank you for protecting me and Jake. We're going to be okay because of you. I love you. I want to live with you if that's okay. Love, Sarah." I looked up. "You want to live here?" "If you'll let me. Dad's apartment is small. He's working retail now, trying to pay the restitution. It's awkward, and I want to finish high school somewhere stable. With you." "What about Jake?" "He wants to stay with Dad. He's younger. He doesn't understand everything that happened, but I do, and I need," her voice cracked, "I need to be somewhere safe." I reached across the table, took her hand. "Your room is ready whenever you want it." She moved in the following weekend. The spare bedroom that had been for guests, Sarah's now. Volleyball trophies on the shelf, homework spread across the desk, teen music playing from her phone. The house felt full again, different, but full. 3 weeks after the mediation, Diane organized a small gathering, book club at my house. Nothing dramatic, no big celebration, just the 6 of us. Mysteries and coffee and casserole. But after the book discussion, Diane stood up. "I want to say something. Margaret, you showed all of us what real courage looks like. Standing up to family, protecting yourself, that's not easy, and we're proud of you." The others nodded, murmured agreement. "And because of you," Diane continued, 3 of us have already updated our estate plans, added extra verification, talked to our kids about boundaries. You made us all think about protecting ourselves." She handed me a card, signed by everyone. "Thank you for reminding us that we're worth protecting." After they left, Diane stayed to help clean up. "I have news," she said. "Remember how I told you about my sister and her nephew who stole from her?" "Yes. I've been volunteering with the Legal Aid Elder Advocacy Program. Karen connected me. I'm training to help other seniors spot the warning signs. Financial abuse, manipulation. I start next month." "Diane, that's wonderful. You inspired me. If you can fight back at 70, I can help others at 65. She left, and I stood in my clean kitchen. Casserole dish washed, coffee mugs put away. I'd lost my son, but I'd found something else. Purpose, community, strength I didn't know I had. 4 weeks after the mediation, I met with a new attorney, Patricia, estate planning specialist, Karen's referral. Karen explained your situation, Patricia said. You want an ironclad plan, something Michael can never access, ever. Yes? Here's what I recommend. We create an irrevocable trust. Once it's set up, you can't change it, which means Michael can't manipulate you into changing it. Your assets go into the trust. Sarah and Jake are beneficiaries, but they don't get access until they're 30, managed by a professional trustee until then. What about my healthcare decisions? We assign healthcare power of attorney to a professional trustee, not family, someone with fiduciary responsibility. They make medical decisions if you can't, based on your written instructions. And if Michael tries to challenge it, he can't. Once the trust is irrevocable, it's locked. He'd have to prove fraud or incompetence at the time of signing, which he can't, because we're going to document your competence extensively, medical evaluations, cognitive testing, video recording of you signing, multiple witnesses. We're going to make this bulletproof. It took 3 weeks to set up. Medical evaluations, cognitive tests, all came back the same. Competent, capable, sharp. The signing was in Patricia's office. Video camera recording. 3 witnesses present, Karen, Diane, Patricia's paralegal. I signed every page, initialed every clause. On camera. With witnesses. With medical proof of competence. My estate was locked, protected, safe. When it was done, Patricia handed me a thick folder. Copies of everything. Keep 1 set here, 1 set in a safe deposit box, 1 set with Karen, triple backup. I walked out with that folder. Heavy, final, secure. Michael couldn't touch it, ever. 3 months after the mediation, I went back to the coffee shop. Tuesday morning, 7:30, same time as always. I almost didn't go. The last time I'd been there, I'd seen Michael with the lawyer, the forged document on the table, the signature that started everything. But Diane had said something that stuck with me. Don't let him take your Tuesday mornings. That's your space. Take it back. So I went. The coffee shop looked exactly the same. Espresso machine hissing, light jazz, the Tuesday regulars in their spots. My usual corner table was empty. I stared at it. Remembered sitting at the counter, seeing Michael, the lawyer, the document. I couldn't sit there, not yet. Instead, I took a table by the window, different view, different angle. But still the coffee shop, still my Tuesday morning. The barista came over. Margaret, haven't seen you in months. Everything okay? It is now. Your usual? Please. She brought the coffee, black, no sugar. I opened my book, not the newspaper, not the crossword, a novel, something light, something that didn't require thinking. I sipped my coffee, looked out the window, watched the parking lot, the morning traffic, the ordinary Tuesday unfolding, and I realized something. I'd taken it back, not the corner table, not yet, maybe not ever, but I'd taken back my Tuesday mornings, my routine, my space, on my own terms. That night, Sarah and I had dinner together. Spaghetti. Simple. Her favorite. Grandma, can I ask you something? Of course. Do you miss him? Dad? I was quiet, thinking about how to answer honestly. Yes. I miss the person I thought he was, the son I believed him to be. But the person who forged my signature? Who tried to take my house? I don't miss that person. I'm glad he's not in my life. Do you think he'll ever apologize? Really apologize? I don't know. He said sorry at the mediation, but I don't know if he really understands what he did, or if he just said it because he had to. Would you forgive him if he did? I thought about that. Forgiveness is complicated, Sarah. I can forgive him for being desperate, for making terrible choices when he was scared, but forgiveness doesn't mean I have to let him back into my life. Doesn't mean I have to trust him again. Some things break in a way that can't be fixed. She nodded. Processing. Are you okay? I asked. Yeah, I mean, it's hard. He's my dad. I love him. But I'm angry at him. For what he did to you. For lying to me and Jake. For all of it. You're allowed to feel both things. Love him and be angry at him. They're not mutually exclusive. Thanks for letting me stay. Here. This is your home, Sarah, for as long as you need it. After dinner, Sarah went to her room to study. I cleaned the kitchen, put the dishes away, wiped the counters. Then I walked to the mantel. The photos were still there. Michael's school pictures, his graduation, his wedding. I'd turned them face down after the mediation. Couldn't look at them. Now I picked up one. Michael at 10, gap-toothed smile, holding a soccer trophy. I looked at it, really looked at it. That boy, the one I'd raised, the one I'd loved, he'd grown into someone I didn't recognize. I put the photo back, face down, not ready yet, maybe never ready. But Sarah's photo, I moved that one forward, prominent, where I'd see it every day. I'd lost my son, but I'd saved my granddaughter and myself. That would have to be enough. 8 months after the mediation, I woke up on a Tuesday morning and realized the weight was gone. Not completely. I still thought about Michael, still wondered how he was doing, still felt the absence of the relationship I'd thought we had, but the fear was gone. The anxiety that he'd try again, that I'd lose everything I'd worked for. My estate was protected. $840,000, every penny secure. Sarah and Jake would inherit it someday. Not Michael. Never Michael. The restitution payments came every month. $750. 17 payments down, 7 to go. Sarah had graduated high school in June, with honors, volleyball scholarship to community college, living with me while she studied, her textbooks spread across the kitchen table, her laughter filling the house. Michael was working retail, paying his bills, paying me back, slowly rebuilding. I didn't ask for details. That was his journey now, not mine. The no-contact order was still in place. He hadn't tried to reach out, and I was standing in my own home, on my own terms, making my own decisions. Nobody, not even my own son, was going to take that away from me. Tuesday mornings I went back to the coffee shop, every week, 7:30. I still couldn't sit at the corner table. Too many memories. But I had my table by the window now, my spot, different view, different perspective. The barista knew my order. The Tuesday regulars nodded when I walked in. The routine was back. Adapted, but back. Twice a month I volunteered at the senior center, teaching a workshop, protecting yourself from financial abuse. Diane had gotten me involved. She'd been volunteering with the Legal Aid Elder Advocacy Program for 6 months. She'd asked if I'd share my story, help others recognize the warning signs. The first workshop was hard, standing in front of seniors, admitting my own son had tried to steal from me. But then I talked about what I'd done, how I'd fought back, how I'd protected myself. Afterward, 3 people came up to me, quietly. One woman's nephew had been asking about her life insurance. Another man's daughter kept pushing him to add her name to his bank account. A third woman's son had been talking about guardianship, just casual mentions, but now they were worried. I gave them Karen's card, told them to trust their instincts, to protect themselves before it was too late. In 6 months, I'd helped 7 people. Our book club friends had all updated their estate plans, added verification layers, had conversations with their children about boundaries. Diane called it a ripple effect. You threw the stone, now the ripples are spreading. Sarah had decided to major in legal studies, wanted to go to law school eventually. She said watching what I'd been through, seeing how the legal system worked, how attorneys could help, had inspired her. You showed me that you can love someone and still protect yourself from them, she said. That's powerful, Grandma. Some days were hard. I'd see a father and son at the grocery store, laughing together, easy, close. And I'd feel the grief, the loss of what I'd thought we had. But then I'd come home, Sarah would be there, or I'd have book club that night. Or Diane would text about coffee tomorrow, and I'd realize I wasn't alone. The life I had now wasn't the life I'd planned at 70. I'd imagined Sunday dinners with Michael and the grandkids, family holidays, growing old surrounded by the family I'd built. Instead, I had Sarah, Jake's occasional text, a book club that had become family, Diane's casseroles, volunteer work that gave me purpose. It was different, but it was mine. If you're listening to this and you've recognized something in my story, a son who asks too many questions about your finances, a daughter who keeps mentioning power of attorney, a family member who's too interested in your estate plan, trust that feeling. You're not being paranoid, you're being careful, and that's okay. Talk to a lawyer, elder law specialist, get your estate documented, get your competence documented, make it ironclad. And if someone you love is already trying to manipulate you, already forging signatures, already planning to take what's yours, fight back. I know it's hard. I know they're family. I know you love them, but you're allowed to love yourself more. What would you have done in my situation? Would you have confronted him at the coffee shop or waited like I did? Have you ever had to choose between protecting yourself and protecting a relationship? Let me know in the comments. And if you're going through something similar, please, get help. Talk to an elder law attorney. You deserve to feel safe. I'm Margaret. I'm 70 years old. Some people might think I'm too old to rebuild, too old to stand up to my own son, but I did it anyway. This is my life, my house, my independence, my choice. And at the end of the day, that's what matters. I'm still here. I'm still standing. Sarah's thriving. My estate is protected. I have my Tuesday mornings back. I forgave Michael's handwriting practice when he was 10, but I'll never forget what he tried to do when he was 48, and I'll never stop protecting what's mine, because nobody gets to take that away from me.